Welcome back, listeners, to the Miskatonic AV Club, a Mythos Busters production. Back with me again is Brandon. Hey, Brandon.
Hey again, excited to be back for more of my second favorite thing, talking about Arkham.
What's your first favorite thing?
Playing Arkham.
Ooh. What's your third favorite thing?
Oh man, don't make me choose.
Organizing Arkham.
Uh, no, that's not in the top 10.
What? Oh, man.
Oh, there's so many other good games and to play and things to eat, and no, you need to expand your horizons if sorting cards is one of your top three.
Hey, don't hate. Don't hate.
Anyway, I feel like you brought me here for a reason, Scott.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the Pallid Mask player cards. Um, you've really influenced me just by coming on the show. Why don't you start it off with our first card?
Oh, that is so nice of you to say, and fitting because this card is Inspiring Presence, which is a Guardian skill. It's since it's a skill card, it's important that it has a Willpower pip, an Intellect pip, or a Combat pip, and it's innate. If the skill test is successful, ready an ally asset at your location, deal 1 damage or 1 horror from it. Anderson's a hard ass, sure, always locking up the rum and waking us up at the crack of dawn. But out here in the middle of nowhere, he's definitely the one I want taking point. Um, have you tried out Inspiring Presence?
I tried it, and then it went back into my card box.
Oh no.
uh, it's okay. I think the thing is, I tried this not in a Leo deck. Now that Leo is out and he's on the art, so it's just fitting.
Yeah, the flavor text quotes him too, or talks about him too.
Exactly. I think it'd be much better if you had multiple allies. Like he can take Venturer, he can take upgraded Beat Cop. There are allies there where you would soak a little bit, and also you're exhausting them for abilities. So I think in Leo, it's probably a bit more powerful, but it's still just a single pip of 3 pips. But I mean, they're useful.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's part of this cycle of skill cards that each have. This is basically just worse than a wild pip. It looks impressive on a card because it's 3 icons all in a row, but it's actually not that great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have just started playing Leo for the first time. I'm just 2 scenarios into a Carcosa campaign with him, and I think I have not drawn this card in either game yet. So I did put this into my Leo deck. I think that he will basically always at least have an ally and be actively, because they're non-unique allies, and he cycles through them and be actively using them to soak. So pretty much always get good use out of this card. I wish that I could tell you that I played it and it went well, but it's just it must be heavier than the other cards. It's sunk to the bottom.
Yeah. I think before, like, if you look at the time that this came out, we're in the middle of Carcosa. I think this card was, I don't want to say hot garbage, but lukewarm refuse, I guess.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's it.
It's interesting. The order they choose to release these cards, it's almost as you get to the end of a cycle, they almost start to foreshadow the next one. Some of their releases, both with the characters that show up in the art sometimes, or then again, we've seen what Rita in some art, I think in the Carcosa cycle too, and did not get her in Forgotten Age. So maybe it's just completely arbitrary. But I think that they like to get a few cards for kind of the next cycle's archetype already released, so that you have a little more than just the 4 cards that they can put in one deluxe box.
Yeah.
That's aimed at that person, and that was definitely the case here.
Yeah. Pretty heavy-handed hint, putting like him in the text, him in the art.
Yep. And yeah, really, in retrospect, like, you should have basically been able to tell you what his ability was based on this.
So moving on to our next card.
Oh boy, yeah. Tell us about Mono.
Oh boy. 0-cost Guardian event, 1 XP. Motto a Motto. It's got a willpower pip and a combat pip. Spirit and Bold traded. Play only as your first action. Deal 1 damage to an enemy engaged with you. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity.
So I have a YouTube channel where we've done some Arkham live plays. I'm doing a rare mid-episode plug. It's called Optimal Play. You should check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I played through the core box campaign. We're going to continue, but with 2 brand new players. I built them their starting decks, but then for upgrading their decks, I was complete hands off because no one really wants a quarterbacker, and you want new players to feel freedom and also learn from making mistakes. And so the one thing was the Roland player, his name is also Scott. He, going into the Devourer below, started to spend one of his couple experience points on mono a mono, and
Oh God.
I had to put my foot down. I couldn't let was the only time I interfered or really even gave them advice other than sounds good, do it,
Yeah.
with their choices, was I had to veto mono on mono. Like, I get the appeal at a glance. It's testless damage. It
Mm-hmm.
costs 0. It's level 1, so like 1 experience isn't even all that much. But man, what a card that you really have to find a niche situation to play. And the payoff for finding like a situation where you're engaged with an enemy as your first action.
Mm-hmm.
It's engaged with you. So it's already gotten a chance to hit you probably, or you've had an ally like bring it to you and then disengage from it with elusive or something
Yeah.
like that.
Or you drew it off the encounter deck. Like it could have been that Mythos Phases enemy.
That's a good point. But all
But
that just for the payoff of 1 damage.
yeah.
You know, a lot of the like my mind jumps to like where would I be glad to have with no other effort is like acolytes, but they spawn at empty locations.
Yep. The
So
other one
they're
for me is
probably
Whippoorwills, but they're aloof.
sure.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
just
I just maybe this is foreshadowing for like the new boxer investigator 3 cycles from now that
yeah.
is gonna whenever he does damage on his first action, do 4 extra damage. Something like that. Until then, I don't see myself pulling this out of my binder.
Yeah. I don't bring this term out very often, but I think this is a bike spokes card.
Yeah, totally agree. You'd at least get some value out of it that way.
Yeah. After it going through the bike spokes, it might need some first aid though. Do you want to read that?
If my ArkhamDB page would load, I would be happy to. Here we go. First aid level 3. It costs 2 resources, and it's, I guess, as I said, level 3, so it costs 3 experience to add to your deck. It's a guardian asset with 2 willpower icons, so good so far. Talent and science traits. It uses 4 supplies, and you discard it when there are no supplies remaining. As an action, spend 1 supply, heal 1 damage and 1 horror from an investigator or ally asset at your location. And it does not take up a slot, notably.
Hmm.
How do you feel?
It's I think with Carolyn released now, it's okay. Because she gets
Okay.
a horror, she gets $1, or whoever gets healed the horror, I believe, makes the resource. I forget what her text is, whether she makes it or the person getting healed gets it.
I forget too. Yeah, I haven't gotten the last couple books. I don't have Silas or Carolyn,
Um,
fortunately.
but I like if you skip the XP cost, this is a pretty efficient healing card. When you add the XP in, I think it's okay. I think it's like I don't know, like 6.5 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like decent
Yeah.
card. Depending on if you have an ally you really want to keep alive, and I'm trying to think of an ally that you really want to keep alive. I could see this. This is I think decent in Mark.
Yeah. If Calvin could run this just to refresh the soak from his ally,
Mm,
or if you're paired with a Calvin who is halfway through the campaign and struggling
yeah.
struggling to stay alive, especially early on when he's looking for all his cards, and you can help with in any way, either with some heals on him if you have to, or heals on his allies would be way better. This is nice. It's still just it's a lot of experience and it's a lot of actions.
It is.
Playing it, paying resources for it, and spending an action every time you use it.
Mm-hmm. It's action intensive for sure, just like real first aid. Um, yeah, like I said, like 6 out of 10. It's I could see a copy
Mm-hmm.
of it in Mark. just because you're going to be healing damage, and he has to really watch his sanity. But other than that,
Yeah, would you bother upgrading this for Mark though? I
maybe,
guess
maybe,
I yeah, I guess like you said, he does have low sanity, so healing horror, like obviously healing damage is great for Mark. Healing horror, I guess I just don't know if I feel like he's got better ways to spend 3 XP, like bigger guns.
yeah. Well, there's only so many guns you can hold, you know.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. And you can hold these bands full of guns.
All right, moving on to secret cards. First one of my
Yeah.
favorite cards, uh, Eureka. It is a skill test or a skill card. Sorry, not a skill test. It has a willpower pip, intellect pip, and an agility pip. It's innate traded, and if this skill test is successful, the investigator performing this test searches the top 3 cards of their deck for a card, draws it, and reshuffles his or her deck.
This has to be one of the best skill cards out there. Despite its art, which is unnerving.
That's a good way of putting it.
I'm not sure what this gentleman in the art is. Uh, the title of the card leads you to believe he's having some sort of epiphany or idea, but it's not what his face says.
No, he looks very
Uh,
like he's struggling.
yeah, he looks like he's struggling really hard or in pain.
Hmm.
Despite that, and also despite the fact that it has the same one each of 3 icons that we were just trash talking on Inspiring Presence,
Yeah.
um, getting almost a wild icon plus this awesome benefit of searching the top 3 cards of your deck for a card, knowing that you're going to get a weakness free draw, and honestly, searching the top 3 cards of your deck if you need a specific thing, like in late game, you really need your strange solution or something like that. It's almost as good as drawing 3 cards or better because
Hmm.
you won't get a weakness along the way. Um, yeah, this card's like a 2 of in almost any seeker deck I build for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like as much as we were trash talking the 3 separate skill icons, um, I think the fact that it leaves out the combat icon, I think is okay for this card.
Mm-hmm.
The Seekers do use a lot of everything else but combat. Um, so I think I'm okay with this balance. I think a lot of people have a lot of uh, combat pips to chuck when needed for other players. So I'm not as down on the pip selection. And yeah, having a old book of lore in a skill card, fantastic, and the ability to give it to somebody as well. Give it to they're doing the test, so they get to search the top 3 cards. Um,
Yes,
that's a
that
pretty awesome ability.
flexibility. That person that if you're paired with a mystic who really needs that spell or whatever,
Hmm.
yeah, it's huge flexibility. Um, what you said about the pips, though, it's kind of true on Inspiring Presence also. It's missing agility, which Guardians, how much
Hmm.
they use agility. It's an interesting thought that they tend to give you the 3 you would anyway. At that
Yeah,
point, why not just give you a wild though? I guess it's just flavorful to say
themey.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, Seekers are bad at fighting, Guardians are bad at evading.
yeah.
I don't know. But okay, now I'm slightly annoyed by this whole 3 pip situation all over again. But other than that, love this card.
Well,
Highly recommend it.
if you want to read the next card, it also has 3 pips. So
Oh no, but it's oh, I was gonna say but it's an asset, but I misspoke or misthought rather. Shortcut level 2 is a 1 cost seeker event with those same 3 pips, everything but a combat. But it acts a little bit like an asset because so it's an insight, it's tactic, it's fast, and you play it on your turn. But when you play it, you attach it to your location, and then the attached location gains as a fast action exhaust shortcut, move to a connecting location. You know this town like the back of your hand. I Does that have the same flavor text as the lower level one?
I have no
Probably.
idea.
I don't
Probably.
know. I think a lot about the flavor text in this game because I like it a lot.
Hmm.
What's your experience with shortcut level 2?
I love shortcut level 0. Uh, it is, I think, a woefully underestimated card, and is incredibly powerful, especially in gators. I don't think you would think of taking it. Like, I mean, I think people have kind of come around to it on as Mark. His ability to
Hmm.
shortcut into an area and then just start killing things is pretty sweet. Level 2, I think, is very campaign dependent and very scenario dependent, where you kind of like on Essex County Express, this is garbage. Um, but on something like uh, the museum, oh, what's it called? With the haunting horror. This,
Miskatonic Museum, yeah.
yeah, there we go. Uh, how did I not get that? um, you have a very central location there. This is pretty good in Blood on the Altar, where you have when you're sitting just outside the chamber and you want to get in and out quickly. Um, so it's very niche locations and very niche uses. So I actually think I prefer level 0 shortcuts still. And I know if
Oh,
Sean's
interesting.
listening, he's going to be mad at me for saying that, but it's the truth, so deal with it.
So level 0 shortcut costs 0, is that right?
Yes.
This one actually costs 1 resource. Other than that, this does everything that does. You can play it to your location and immediately move a person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I'm far from with you on that. I think this card's great. I think most scenarios you find a really good use for it. A caveat: I play mostly multiplayer. I have not played a true solo game since just the core set was
Mm.
out. I'm going to probably get the ire of the internet for this, but I think this is a better card than Pathfinder in multiplayer. I think you get
Mm.
enough uses out of it that almost, especially like most scenarios, fairly central location, or even in the scenarios where this, you're right, in Essex County Express, it's not as good a fit, but still, you drop it on your location, and if someone's a car behind you dealing with an enemy or something, they also get vaulted forward, which is really valuable when they catch up to you. Um, it's so it at its worst, it's still useful, and at its best, having essentially Pathfinder, your team gets a free move every turn, but it does not have the rider that you have to be not engaged with any enemies, and it's fast, so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't provoke an opportunity attack. And the fact that you have the flexibility of anyone on your team can use it as convenient, I think this card's awesome.
I think I would still take Pathfinder, but again, that's also coming from me playing. I think about 50% of my games are solo.
Yeah, yeah,
Where yeah,
I
Pathfinder is
can't
the
argue with
shortcut
that.
you Pathfinder is the shortcut you bring with you. Um, but
Yes, it costs more resources, but it is one less experience point. Yeah, I totally agree.
one more, or no, was it three or
True
two?
solo, level 2 shortcut makes no sense.
Yeah,
But if you get maybe with 2, definitely if you have 3 or 4 players, I think this card is pretty incredible.
yeah. And I will say too, like Essex County Express also breaks a lot of cards. Like I won't put.
Yeah,
It's not like shortcut is bad because it can't handle Essex. It's well, there's a lot of cards that are bad in Essex. So I
and even Pathfinder and Essex, it's gonna go unused a lot. If you're stuck in a car.
yeah, yeah. It's I think it's a good card. I think I still prefer level 0, but that's me.
So watch this, Scott, as I seamlessly segue into the next card.
Oh God, I'm watching.
I think. Oh no, that was it.
Oh,
It was very meta. I think it's your turn to read.
oh God, it is. Um, so watch this, Brendan. It is a rogue skill card. It's got a willpower pip, a combat pip, and a agility pip. It's gambit traded. Commit only to a skill test you're performing. As an additional cost to commit watch this to a skill test, spend up to 3 resources. If you succeed by 1 or more, gain twice that many resources.
Hmm.
So, I mean, first of all, this guy is doing a flying double pistol shot through the air, which is not safe gun handling
No,
at all.
no. Although like Tech says, he is a show off. My problem with him is that each half of his leg, both above and below his knee, appears to be longer than his torso.
Yeah.
Uh, the proportions
Legs for
always
days.
have always bugged me on this one. So I think we're back to kind of inspiring presence mode for me, where this is another skill card with 1 of each pip,
Mm.
which is a little aggravating. And man, text it. it allows you to. Okay, so first, commit only to a skill set you're performing. As a multiplayer player, that hurts right there.
Yeah.
But then it's not like this card has a chance of generating you resources on its own. It lets you spend resources and risk them to get resources, which means you A, have to have them, and B, have to be able to afford to lose them or desperately need them.
Right.
And then you still have to succeed. I mean, if you succeed, sure, a lot of time it's by one or more, and you can make a profit. But no, I'm not into this one. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Well, I mean, I think this appeals to people who play a lot of rogue cards who like the gambling, and almost Mystic
Mm-hmm.
too, because Mystic has that kind of uh, that risky playstyle.
Yes.
Um, when this works, like on easy or standard, I think this is a decent card because I think you'll succeed most often, and most often by one. I think you'll have to throw more to the test than just this card. Um, so I think it's okay, but it's I'm the same way
Yeah.
where it's too risky for me. Where I either have to be okay with losing 3 resources on the chance of getting 6, um, but at that point, if I'm okay with losing 3 resources, do I really need more resources? I'm probably at a point
Right.
where I have so much resources, I just don't care. Um, yeah, I don't think I'm a huge fan of Watch This.
Yeah, and I'll point out on this one too. I think this is the first time where I feel like the fact that it's lacking the intellect icon is a problem. At least our last two rogues that we've gotten, Safina and Finn, both like intellect a whole lot.
Hmm.
Is generally part of what they're doing. Safina's usually at least using lockpicks to do her share of investigating, and Finn obviously is all about being the green guy who can actually get clues. So that's a problem too that this doesn't have an intellect pit because if you can commit it only to skill sets you're performing. So, and if you're a rogue build that is largely actually trying to investigate, get clues, this doesn't help you there either.
So if you're a rogue build trying to do what you need to do to win every scenario, pretty much, like the
Yeah,
main focal point is to get clues, and like, everything else is just trying to stop you from getting clues. Yeah.
and I think you keyed in on something really kind of smart about this card. Actually, it's for a certain kind of player. It's for a player that actually would get a kick out of that show off moment, and in that way, like the flavor of the card and the fact that it's kind of you don't need this card. You don't need to do this. You don't need to risk your resources to double them, but you could.
Hmm.
And it's kind of cool when you do. Yeah, it's actually kind of a perfect card just for that moment that the certain kind of player who would really get a kick out of it can throw this into their deck and have
Just by looking at the art, can you tell what type of gun he's firing?
fun. Since he's a rogue, I would assume it's the 41 Derringer.
Maybe.
I don't know if that's really the kind of gun you use to shoot, but look at this. We've got them in front of us.
We're nailing these segues. This is
Oh
just
yeah, it took me a second. You had that like second and a half pause. I was like, where is he going with this? And as is podcast tradition, we are ruining every segue by discussing it after the fact.
of course. Yeah.
So level 241 Derringers are card. It's a rogue asset that's an upgrade of, I believe the core set Derringers were, right?
Hmm. I think so.
It costs 3, takes up a hand slot, has a combat or an agility icon if you put it into a skill test and play it. It uses 3 ammo, and it says, as an action, spend 1 ammo to fight. You get +2 combat for this attack. If you succeed by 1 or more, this attack deals +1 damage. Once per turn, if you succeed by 3 or more, you may take an additional action each turn. I skipped over this. It's an item, a weapon, a firearm, and it's illicit, which is fun because I think all 4 of those are traits that matter.
Yeah.
How do you feel about putting 2 experience into leveling up your?
The issue is I think I like level 2 Switchblade better.
Mm.
And so I mean the thing is I don't mind this card actually. Like +2 combat is actually pretty good. The
Mm-hmm.
ammo's a bit low, but I kind of understand it for 3 costs. You're getting 3 shots plus it's a +2 combat. If you succeed
And if
by
you
one or
really,
more, you're probably going to.
if you try hard enough, rogues have a lot of ways to deal with that too.
Yeah. Um, and the fact that if you are really doing well on these tests, you may get a free action this turn. So you could possibly play this and then empty it that turn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if
Oh
you,
yeah. So yeah, you can't. You could empty it. I was about to point out that you only get the extra action one turn, but
mhm,
that is enough to blow through all of its
yeah,
ammo anyway.
and if you sleight of handed this by chance and
Mm-hmm.
then shoot it thrice and then do something else, like move away from the dead bodies, um, like that's a pretty good use of sleight of hand, I think. So, you know, as I'm talking, I'm starting to like this card more.
Yeah, I like it too. I've played with this one some. I think it's a more appealing upgrade than the 45 automatic we talked about in the previous episode. I think that the upgrade is more interesting and meaningful than just the canceling retaliate.
Mhm.
It lowers the succeed by more for the plus one down to one, which you succeed by one a lot more than succeed by two.
Yes.
I think that really takes it from Derringers, which are really weak because of that. Like, there's a great chance that you're only going to get one damage, like a normal fight when you shoot them.
Mhm.
I think that's an underrated. I don't know how people rate this card, but I think that's easy to kind of overlook how valuable that is, lowering that threshold from 2 to 1. And then, yeah, I think if you do draw, luck into draw, whatever, getting an extra action is a great perk. It's something it's hard. Succeeding by 3 or more is hard to rely on,
Mhm.
or to like plan your turn, kind of being like, okay, I'm gonna get this extra action. But you usually can find something good to do with it. If you're engaged with an enemy, you shoot your gun again. If you're done
Yeah.
with the enemy, worst case scenario, you draw a card, gain a resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like these. Whether it's the way a rogue would be wise to spend their experience, that's a little hard. And you're right, Switchblade's another awesome option that gets really good once it's level 2.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think if you want to be a rogue who's shooting guns, playing cards like Watch This, this is a great one. And I think it's good all around in general.
Yeah. You know, we've talked a lot on the podcast before about how, especially in multiplayer, every investigator needs to be able to handle an acolyte or rats. Um,
Yes.
and I think that this is the perfect weapon for that. If you're playing some sort of like super investigatey Jenny, this Derringer is actually a decent weapon for her to kill rats or some acolyte with, right? Like that +2 bonus is what I'm more looking at than the damage boost. Um, I think it's a decent solution.
That is true. Yeah. Like, even though most enemies aren't one hit point, there are plenty of times when just the one damage is enough.
Yeah, I'm.
But, it, isn't that kind of an argument against upgrading this card? Because you still get the +2 combat on the level 0 version. You're just less likely to get the +1 damage.
I guess. I mean, for me, I'm thinking against rats. You're probably going to also succeed by 3.
Oh,
So
that's true.
maybe an
Yeah.
action. I don't think it's a great weapon, but it's good. It's okay. I wouldn't begrudgingly like. I wouldn't dive in front of somebody like you did with mano a mano, watching a friend put it into the deck. So
Yeah, agreed. It's in my fin deck right now because I wanted to try it out. It's in my fin deck in that Dunwich campaign I've been talking about all night. And yeah, I've been enjoying it. I got some extra shots at Silent Bishop because it gave me an extra action on it.
yeah.
It was nice.
Like equipping this, you don't feel like you're holding a torrent of power or anything. Speaking of
You sure
which,
don't.
moving on to our Mystic skill card, Torrent of Power. It's a level 0 skill card. It has a wild pip that Brandon has been begging for this entire show. Uh,
Yes.
it is practice traded. As an additional cost to commit Torrent of Power to a skill test, spend up to 3 charges from among assets you control. For each charge spent this way, Torrent of Power gains a willpower pip and another wild pip. I
Hmm.
I feel like this is made for Akachi,
Yes.
and it's made for Mystics
Oh,
because they're probably
Sure.
going to be using willpower.
It's got a purple border, so that's not a big leap.
Yeah. I mean, um,
Oh, yeah, this one's hard to justify. Usually you're playing spells with charges on because you want to spend those charges for the effects printed on those spells.
mhm.
It's really hard to see yourself spending a lot of charges from spells you've already paid for and you have in play just for a couple icons in a skill test, which can be clutch, but this could just be guts, and I think it would be a much better card.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good argument. Um, I I think I can kind of see this where you're coming up against a test near the end of the game where, um, yeah, I want to spend my shriveling or my rite of seeking charges on doing what they do. But on the other hand, I have this test coming up that could end the game, and
Right.
charges left on my assets at the end of the game have no use at all. So I kind of see this as a panic switch to get through, whatever willpower test is coming off the deck, or is it in the core set where you have to test 6 willpower, you get another weakness in the final
Yes.
scenario? Something like that,
Yes.
right? Where you're just like, I can't I can't lose this test. I'll deal with 1 less shriveling or 2 less rite of seekings or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
You know what it feels like this is for is tests where you want to pass by a lot. But I
Mm,
was thinking through, and I think Mystic is literally the only class that never to pass by, right? Is that a thing in Mystic at all? Like
I
rogues do, obviously. Guardians do with cards like shotgun. Seekers
yeah.
do when they're investigating. Survivors do usually because they want to pass by like as little as possible. Or they care how little they fail by. I don't think Mystics care, and that's what feels like when Mystics get a spell that works like shotgun, where if you pass by 5, you do 5 damage. Like that's when you
Mhm.
throw Torrent of Power in your deck. Until then, I think I'll run Guts and Fearless.
Yeah, no, I think you make a strong argument for that. Um, BD Flory throws in alchemical transmutation, um, but then you'd also have to be playing alchemical transmutation.
And also, Alchemical Transmutation is what? There's no benefit to passing by more than by with a score of higher than 4, right?
Yeah,
You can only pass by at least 3. Anyway,
or
that's a good point. So
or
the
unless he's saying use the charges off alchemical transmutation to
eh,
power
you know
this.
I think what he's saying is I'm wrong when I say no cards that care how
Yeah,
much you pass by, and he's right. That's a great point. I missed that one,
yeah, fair
but
enough.
so there is an exception. Mystic does have one situation where it cares, so maybe it will get more because clearly that's something that every class kind of gets a taste of at times. But until we get one that's really splashy, I don't see why I would play Torrent of Power.
Hmm. Do you think you see one coming in our future? Like if you were to scry,
If I were to scry, I don't know. Why don't you? Oh,
it's you.
it's me. I lost track of who read Torrent of Power. I was too busy whining about it. Oh, my good friend Scrying. This is the level 3 upgrade of Scrying. It costs 1 resource. It's a mystic asset with 2 intellect icons on it. It's a spell that takes the arcane slot and it has 3 charges. As a fast action, you can exhaust it and spend 1 charge to look at the top 3 cards of any investigator's deck or the encounter deck. Return them to the top of that deck in any order. If a terror or omen cards is among the looked at cards, take 1 horror. How are you feeling about this one?
Well, back in the core set days or early Dunwich, I actually found I would, when playing true solo, I would run scrying if I could. The reason being, looking at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck and um, doing the whole magic player thing and writing them down and like choosing the order right, and so like I would know what is happening. It was incredibly powerful. Now the issue was it cost you an action to put down and then an action to do it. Um, with this upgraded version, having it fast like that, I think it's a great deal. Um, the caveat about if you see a terror or omen card among them, take a horror. For most of the investigators I'd be using this in, um, I don't think that would matter too much. And in someone like Agnes, this might be something when, oh no, you're engaged with an acolyte. Oh, I'm going to scry and hope I get a terror or omen, and then I can ping someone. Um, I like it. The issue is there's so many good cards now.
Yeah.
It's getting pushed out.
I was gonna say I think the worst part of this card is that little arcane slot in the lower right corner.
Yeah.
Are you really going to give one of your two precious arcane slots in a, and this, especially we're talking about the level 3 version of scrying, so it's going to be a mystic who has it. Are they really going to have this instead of shriveling or instead of rite of seeking or
Mm.
alchemical transmutation? I think I would play over this
Yeah.
because that would at least kind of be fleeting, and whereas this you want, theoretically, if you're using this mostly for the encounter deck, this is going to stick around for 9 rounds ish.
Yeah.
So that you can see the future, let those 3 cards play out and repeat 3 times. Um, I'm not seeing it, especially at 3 experience points. I agree,
Yeah.
it's a really substantial improvement over the level 0 scrying, but I never thought that card was that good. Again, as mostly there for.
I will say that I've mostly used the level 0 scrying in Daisy because her other spell
Hmm.
was usually shriveling. And at that point I didn't have Rite of Seek. So it was scrying and shriveling, and that was my combo. And obviously she can handle the investigating and all that stuff. So that's where I mostly used it. Um, I haven't used scrying in probably a year now. Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense that level 0 scrying, it has a home class splash because it's less competitive for that arcane slot. But yeah, I don't really think either version of this card is worth the
Yeah.
cost you pay for it. A card slot, a resource, and then in the case of the one we're looking at right now, 3 experience points.
So quick question about the art. How long did it take you to realize it was the Ghoul Priest?
Oh no.
The Ghoul Priest in the T.
Um,
Predicting the scenario that was in the box that this originally came in. Oh.
I think I learned about that from a Mythos Busters interview with Matt Newman. I think he mentioned it on there, and it had been completely lost on me.
Oh. I think that's where I learned about it too, during that interview.
Yeah. You sooner than me because I didn't hear it on your podcast feed.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
All right. Well, we got no time to waste. Let's not get waylaid.
Oh God. So Waylay is the first survivor card of this pack. 3 cost event, level 0, 2 agility pips, and it's a tactic. Choose an exhausted non-elite enemy at your location and test agility X, where X is that enemy's evade value. If you succeed, defeat that enemy. Is is it over? Her hand shook and she fell to her knees. Is it finally over?
I was so ready if you skipped over the flavor text to insist that you read it with a windy voice.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I didn't have to.
uh,
Well done.
Little Orphan Annie killed a Minotaur. um,
So I think this depends on your survivor. You may or may not really be building a survivor with high agility.
mhm,
Probably you're building it for more than just this card. You're building in order to evade a lot, and then sometimes you might find yourself with high agility and the resources to play this card,
mhm.
and already have evaded the enemy or exhausted it so you can play it. I recall this card really wowing everyone when it was previewed, and I'm not sure it quite lives up to that, but it's a solid niche event.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I think it's. I think you're exactly right with the whole niche event. This would be something I could totally see in Wendy, who has adaptable, and going through, let's say, Dunwich. Like this is a great way to get rid of spheres. Um, Spheres
Yeah,
of
great
whatever.
point.
Yeah.
Conglomeration of spheres.
Conglomerate
Yeah.
spheres. Yeah. And there'd be certain enemies I think that you'd be okay with using this on, but you'd want to have that adaptable to get it out there, because I think it's not the greatest ability on a lot of other enemies, like little 2 health enemies. Are you actually going to exhaust them and then test this free cost? Like, there's better ways to deal with enemies.
Yeah, and it does have those two agility icons, so it like at least when it comes to niche cards, it's great to see them having two matching icons because that means if you find yourself with a card in a situation where it's clearly not useful, you've got another great use for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it that. It's a card that I would feel okay. You're right. I probably with adaptable exactly how I would play this too. I would feel okay if I just was in the mood to slaughter some enemies from behind, throwing this as a one of and just fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Penguins in the chat mentions it's a tactic. Call up Mark Harrigan.
Yes, this is finally Mark Harrigan has a way to defeat enemies.
Oh goodness, it's been a
What?
long time.
Can't believe he had to wait until this point in the cycle to get his key card.
You know, another enemy I'm thinking of is the one from the Forgotten Age. It has 6 health, and it's the like a binding weed or something.
Oh, yeah, that one is bane of my existence in the Heart of the Elders, but I'm blanking on the name of it too.
Strangleweed? Is it?
Sure, that sounds right.
Yeah. Anyways, I
Let's
think
go.
that
Let's
one
go with
might be
that.
an okay way, an okay one for Waylay.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that adaptable, or if you really feel great about this card for a scenario, level 0 swaps when you know what you're getting into.
mhm,
Not really a blind play card, but has its niche.
yeah, and like I mean, meeting up with those enemies would probably just be a chance encounter. Anyways,
Would it? Man, it's amazing how we keep coming up on cards that just fit right into our conversation.
amazing how that happens.
The next card in the pack, the remaining survivor card, it's a level 2 event called a chance encounter. It costs X. Is this the first X cost card in Arkham Horror?
I
I think
think
it is.
so. Yes, pretty sure.
So it has a willpower and an intellect icon. It's a fortune event, and it says choose an ally asset with printed resource cost X in any player's discard pile. Put that asset into play under your control. And I am now frantically looking up what the level 0 version of this did because I am forgetting exactly. It didn't cost X, right?
Are you thinking of calling in favors?
No, a chance encounter is a level 0 card from where Doom awaits. I now have it in front of me. It costs 1 resource, and it puts an ally from any player's discard pile into play under your control just for the round, and then you
Right, and then it
discard
goes away. Yes.
it. So, have you tried this one out?
I have. It's okay. It de- the thing is, so solo, this is really bad. Um, I the times I've used in solo, I'm not happy with it, and I just kind of threw it in there to try it out because it's obviously the allies I'm getting back are mine. The where I see it though being awesome is in multiplayer, where you can combine certain allies and certain investigators that shouldn't be together. Um,
Yes.
yeah, there's some uh, like Wendy getting Brother X, like something like that, and now all of a sudden she's like super tank. Um,
Or
yeah,
even just, I would consider this, I think, in almost any survivor that is paired with Leo, because he's just always going to have allies in his discard pile. This will not be a dead card
yep.
with him because he just churns through them. Yeah, I think this has its place. Spending 2 experience points on it also, and it's always really interesting when a card you have to spend experience, level it up, obviously, and then it has trade offs with the original version as opposed to just being strictly better. Like the
Mm-hmm.
trade off here is that to get Brother X, you're paying doesn't Brother X cost 6?
5.
5. It's an expensive. You're playing a card out of their
Yeah.
discard pile at its full cost,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to honestly the original chance counter getting Brother X just for a turn when you need to take some
Yeah.
opportunity attacks or something like that might be better
The
and you only pay 1 resource for it.
the one time I did take this in solo that I found it really great was Agnes solo actually, and upgraded Pete Sylvester with her. He is such a great card, and a really good soak. that even if he did die, I'm okay having a third or fourth copy of him in the deck
Hmm.
being a chance encounter. Um, so I
Does he
could,
die? Does he die so much that you get use out of this card though? Peter Sylvester's usually one that kind of hits the table and just is there for the game.
if you choose to play it that way. I mean,
Mm.
then I can also tank a 1 health and something sanity hit as well on him and
True,
play him back.
true. Knowing this is in your hand
Yeah.
frees you up to sacrifice him. Yeah.
And if he's already got 2 horror on him, that's an okay way to refresh him fully.
Hmm.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Great point. I should try it out.
I think it's good for
Okay.
decks that are you want to have a third or fourth copy of certain allies.
Um. Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's just not my experience that ally. I guess I don't generally play allies in an expendable kind of way.
Hmm.
Like sometimes I play the art students or whatever that their main benefit is their effect when they interplay and then just use them as soak. But most of the time at this point in the game, there are good named allies that I plan to put into play and let them soak a little bit until just before they die and then keep them there. And so you're right. Having this card could change the way you play with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely don't look at this and think, man, I've really been needing to bring back all my allies all the time.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially if you had some sort of like you have a bunch of allies, so you kind of have like an emergency cache of allies that you can draw on at different points.
Man, wouldn't it be great if allies could cash you just keep in your back pocket? They don't, but I can tell you what does fit into one. If you upgrade it to level 3,
Oh god.
the level 3 emergency cache, which is a zero cost event that has this supply trait. It has 4 resources inside. You gain 4 resources, or you place 4 supply tokens among assets controlled by investigators at your location, or any combination of those 2 effects. You can never be too prepared, which again, I think usually the leveled up versions have the same flavor text as the lower ones, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, I can see a pun game going on eventually where Matt puts different flavor text and it kind of works together with the old one and it's hilarious somehow.
That's honestly what I expected from the start. I can't believe that we didn't do that in the core set.
Yeah, fair.
um, do you upgrade your emergency caches very often?
When I'm playing Seeker and I have Acidic Ichor or the
Mm-hmm.
Archaic Glyphs, yes. Because getting 7 charges on Acidic Ichor is pretty good.
So the glyphs don't use supply; they use a different kind of token.
Right, they use
They
charges.
their spells they use charges. Yeah.
Right. Sorry, just the glyph or just the solution then.
So yeah, I actually have a tab open with searching for the word supply in the text of cards as kind of in
Ooh.
anticipation of talking about this. So I'm looking down the list, and you're exactly right. It's great with Strange Solution. The only other card I see that is interesting to resupply is Flashlight.
Yep.
Like First Aid uses supplies. How often
Again.
do you use all those counters? And wish you had more.
Yeah.
Uh, Same with Liquid Courage. Painkillers and Smoking Pipe use supplies. Actually, honestly, supplies usually means healing, unless it's a Strange Solution.
Mm.
Supply is pretty much Flashlight and healing. Um, yeah, I don't think I would go for this over the level 2 emergency cache
Yeah.
almost ever. Except you're absolutely right. It goes great with Strange Solution.
Yeah. I
And I'm
I
trying to.
think that's pretty much it. Quite honestly, like that is the only time I would consider using it. Other than that, I'm staying at level 2, and even then, level 2 is kind of that near the end of the campaign where it's like, oh, I got this 2 XP. What should I do? I don't know. I'll make a better cache.
Yeah,
So
I mean, level 2 even just text draw 1 card
yeah.
to cache. I'm really waiting for a version of maybe level 1 emergency cache someday that just simply keeps it the same except makes it fast.
Mm,
That would be appealing. Until then, honestly, the upgrades are both a little underwhelming.
yeah. What about a level 5? It has this same text, gain 4 resources or place 4 whatever, draw a card, and it's fast.
Man, I think still no.
Ooh.
for 5
Yeah, that's true.
XP,
That's like
right?
there's so many better things you can buy with 5 XP.
Yeah, when you're talking level 5 cards, just everything else is so splashy and so it feels so good. And it
Yeah.
usually takes like honestly a lot of the time, unless you're running multiplayer with a lot of delve too deeps, you're saving up for 2 scenarios for that level 5 card. I don't think you see that in the cash you just
Mhm.
made up.
Yeah, I think this is a very niche card. I'm glad it exists, but I stop at level 2, and level
Yeah.
2 I usually only use if I'm literally running out of things to spend XP on.
And it's something that will be revisited as more supply is clearly a token that's going to get supported on lots of assets for the life of the game because it's
Mhm.
just a generic like this just represents physical stuff that's part of this asset.
Yeah.
That's not ammo. Um, so I could see this someday being incredible, and it's already incredible with Strange Solution. But I could see it finding more use cases before cards come out. But for now, yeah, it's kind of just that one.
Yeah. I will upgrade level 2 a little bit quicker if I'm playing a higher ed build. Because you
Mm,
do want that card replacement, but
yes, yeah,
yeah.
super valuable there, and it's a really safe card to point newbies towards level 2 emergency cash. It's
Yeah.
just simply better. Everyone loves drawing cards.
Yep.
Yeah. It's nothing too fancy or complicated or difficult to use properly, which a lot of leveled up cards are.
Hmm. So tell me why Mano a Mano is your favorite card in the pack.
Sorry, I went robot a little bit. What was that?
Tell me why Mano a Mano is your favorite card in the pack.
Wait, what the hell?
Oh.
Sorry, I'm back, but I don't know what's going on. Oh man, my internet's turning into a pumpkin. This is weird.
Oh, no worries, because we're almost done.
All right.
So,
So try one more time, but if it cuts out again, we just know that question is cursed.
which card of this pack is your favorite, and why is it Mano a Mano?
There's no way.
What?
Uh, Literally all 3 times that you've said mono a mono, I assume I've heard like the M and then you've cut out. It's ridiculous. You even tried to rephrase the question.
It's just that cursed of a card.
Oh man, yeah. How fitting is that
Oh.
actually?
Okay, so in actuality, what's your favorite card?
So, hmm. Again, I feel like I need to kind of have a favorite just for awesomeness of the card and a favorite for practicality of the card.
Mhm.
Practicality is clearly Eureka. That
Yes.
card is just the seeker skill that I'd have to have a really great reason not to play it. Like I'm building multiple decks in my collection and there's 2 seekers and the other one's already using Eureka.
Or my investigator literally can't take can't take secret cards. That's yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I think favorite just for fun factor might be the level 2 Derringer. Just kind of the reliability of getting the +2 damage more off, or +1 damage rather for 2 total more often, and the kind of the splashy, fun surprise of sometimes getting an extra action. It's a good time. I've had fun when I've used it, even though I like acknowledge that it's not the best way I could be spending my experience points.
Yeah.
How about you?
Eureka, hands down, best card in the pack.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
kind of looking at the pack now, uh, not a super great pack, I don't think. Like just a lot
Yeah,
of okay
I've got to
cards.
agree. I did, and maybe actually I said this. I will sing the praises of Shortcut too. I think that card is great. I think Seekers had a really good pack,
Yeah,
and I guess really they had a really good cycle in the Carcosa
yeah.
cycle, and also the Dunwich cycle and the
The,
Corset.
the Seekers had a
Um,
really good game life.
yeah, they even out a little bit. They put down a little Forgotten Age, but until then, man, they're a good class. Yeah, not a lot in here. This is one that if you didn't have to buy the packs in campaign's sake, I would actually still say buy this pack for Eureka, but otherwise it would be pretty skippable.
Yeah. Brandon, thanks again for joining me. Why don't you plug your channel one more time?
Yeah, my pleasure. This has been a really good time. Thanks for inviting me. And yeah, the coveted second plug in one episode. I have a YouTube board game and other tabletop game live play channel called Optimal Play, which for now, until everyone listening to this subscribes, so that I have enough subscribers to get a custom URL, you can search for on YouTube the phrase Optimal Play, or you can follow us on social media. On Instagram, we're optimal_play. And check out our videos. We played the first couple scenarios of Arkham. I played with two brand new players, which are a lot of fun to have video evidence of like to learn your way around Arkham. And a few other board games and stuff too. We put out a new video every single Friday for as long as I can keep up with it.
I watched your. I still have to watch the second Arkham Horror video, but the first one was good, and I enjoyed watching it from a newbie perspective. And like, no, don't go in there. Why aren't you using your gun? All, like, just yelling at the screen like a madman. But
Yeah, and you can only imagine what my internal monologue because I really don't like quarterbackers in cooperative games,
yep.
and I really want the video to present new players without them being constantly corrected and everything all the time. I could even correct them, cut that out since they are edited videos, but no, I just suppress that screaming voice inside too and let them do their best. It's a lot of fun.
Fair enough. Speaking of suppressing that screaming inside voice, thank you for joining us tonight. This has been AV Club, a Mythos Busters production. We'll see you later.
Good night, everyone.